Hi folk, I'm going to share with you my experiences of having a bathroom suite installed and installed to a point where we're not really happy with it at all. So if this is maybe a learning curve for you going forwards, I don't know, but I'll just give you a bit of a background story and then we'll have a little look round at some of the points. So me and the wife, we looked into getting. We've got a main bathroom, we've got an ensuite and we've got a downstairs toilet. So we wanted to get a quote for all this work's doing. Now, we did get an initial quote from a well-known local business and it was coming in at 20 grand plus. Now, let me start by saying we don't live in a massive house. You know, the rooms they're not extensive, they're not huge, they're quite small rooms. To be quite frank, we just didn't have the budget for that. So, lesson learned, you know, I'll show you at the end of the video. We opted for the cheap option and we thought, right, if we can source all the showers, the toilets, the basins, all that kind of stuff, the towel radiator, if we can source all them bits in, and then put them all to one side, tuck them away in the garage, and then we can get somebody independent to come in and give us a few quotes for the actual labour side of it. So we've got everything. We got it from Victorian Plumb. The tiles, the grout, the adhesive, the works, we got it all. And then Claire's my wife, she'd been speaking to some of her colleagues at work, and they really recommended a chap who'd done their bathrooms and who was happy with him. I wasn't, however. I seen the alarm bells early on in the process because I got the wife to send me a few photos for works that he'd carried out. And to be honest with you, I weren't really happy. But anyway, long story short, we went and proceeded. So this chap had come along and basically, to summarise him, really nice guy, but he was an odd job man. He was a have-a-go hero. Come along, he didn't seem very confident, wasn't making all the right noises. Why we proceeded, I don't know, but we did. He basically said, payment wise for the job, he'd give us a rough quote. I think it come in just the actual bathroom, the family bathroom, it'd come in at, let's just call it 2.5 grand just for the labour. And you know what, we were happy with that. We thought we'll get it done, we'll get it all in, 2.5 grand. A bit to play with then to get, because we basically said, can you do all 3 rooms for us? So anyway, it comes in. And the alarm bells were there for me right from the start. He was in his own car, he didn't have a van, he didn't have all the tools. I ended up sheeting up for him, so I sheeted all the protective sheeting on the stairs. I ended up doing the labouring for him, so all the old tiles out, lugging them to the tip and all the old bath. Oh, looking back now, what an absolute wally I was. And the guy, he just basically said it's an hourly rate. It's an hourly rate of 15 quid an hour. And we thought, we did the maths on it and we thought, you know what, he'll have it done in 2.5, 3 weeks. And that was his kind of interpretation of it all as well. And you know what, from start to finish, it was just an absolute nightmare. It pulled off all the old plasterboards from the walls, which in his defence, that can happen to anybody. That can happen to anybody. So the job ended up stretching out. I'm going to put it on the thumbnail of the video. There was a New York trip, a trip of a lifetime as a family for the wife's 40th. That come between it all as well. And this chap had a minor illness, allegedly. 9 weeks to do a family bathroom. 9 weeks we had this ordeal for. Now, I'll tell you this now. We've decided not to proceed, or we decided not to push for any kind of compensation or going through small claims court or anything like that, because you know what, I just can't be bothered with all the stress. And the way he left the job on the end was me and the wife had just gone very quiet over the job, because ultimately, as the job was going on and on, we kind of kidded ourselves that the job would get better. So he basically come along with all these laser tools. He marked out all the all the walls where he needed to put the tiles and all the rest of it. We've had some conversation, and the job started off quite well. He ripped it out, few problems, and then he started laying the tiles. And one of the worst things I did was agree on something. Now he said to me, it was about the fashion in which we had the tiles leading up to the wall edge. And basically, he's gone the easy path and he's decided to do some really small cuts on one side of the wall, and it looks an absolute sod. It looks a sod, and I regret that. So we agreed on that, and I wish I hadn't done now. So ultimately, it took this guy 9 weeks in between a week New York trip and him having an illness to start this job from, you know, start to finish. And ultimately, the end, the last week, he turned round, because he did, in all fairness to him, he did ask us as the job was going, he said, are you happy with the work? And we kind of was, because we was keep kidding ourselves that at the point we weren't happy, we convinced ourselves that, right, when he does the grouting, it's going to look a lot better, we're going to be happy. Did the grouting, we weren't happy with it, and we thought, do you know what, when he gets it all signed off and sealed up, and it, you know, he puts the beads of silicone on and wipes it all down, we thought, ultimately, you know, we haven't paid, let's say we have not paid top end for a pro. Let's start with saying that now, we haven't. But still, at 15 quid an hour, and what we ultimately did pay him at the end, we wanted him to at least be able to lay tiles correctly and do the grouting correctly and finish the job off and siliconing. It got to the last week, and he said, listen guys, he said, I can see you're not happy with the job. He said, I'll do this last week for free, and then I'll bugger off. I tell you what, guys, the last day of the job, he must have gone round with about 15 silicone guns, and it's just, honestly, it just looks an absolute sod. It looks an absolute sod. We've since got another tiler to come in and quote us for our ensuite. And basically, I come in, I led him into the bathroom, and I said, listen, what's your thoughts on this? And he said, flipping hell, he said, I'd be taking him to small claims. But we've decided not to go that route. You know what, it's a lesson learned. And I'm hoping, please leave some comments on what your thoughts are for what I can do to get myself out of this mess, other than completely stripping it all out and starting again. I don't have the funds for that, I won't lie. We do not have the funds to do that. It'll be thousands and thousands of pounds. But I'll just walk you around the bathroom now and show you some of the points, and get your comments and interpretation on what you think my expectations should be, and if they're real, and if you would absolutely be kicking off a storm. But yeah, 9 weeks to do basically our family bathroom. So I'll put the big lights on, and then I'll show you what's happened. So basically, we've got all the bits, the sinks, the basins, the toilets, and the shower. We've got all them from Victorian Plumb. And with regards to everything that is fit in here, we are relatively happy with what is fit. The shower, he couldn't get that to seal, and that is basically all leaked through the back of the shower and down in through the kitchen ceiling, because he couldn't get that to seal, so he wasn't happy with that. Also, the radiator, he couldn't get that to seal, and inevitably all that's leaked through down into the kitchen area. But you know, the sink and the toilet remain unscathed. They all seem to be sealed up all right. So we've had one of these mirrors done. Quite happy with that. Quite a funky light up mirror. But this, as you see it, is exactly how he's left the bathroom. And I'm going to show you like the finish and what he's done. So basically, I think because he's not been a great tiler, he's an odd job man, he's tried to basically cover up a lot of his bodge work by just using like 15 tubs of silicone. So you can see he's just gone down it with a bead of silicone everywhere, and you can see the thickness of it. Let me just show you around this window edge here. Can you see where he's not met up to the window frame with a tile, and he's just, look at the state of that. If you ask me, that's atrocious. The window, the actual frames and the attention to detail for the trim pieces, like you can see how that tile there is just not completely sat proud. It's a complete bodge job, if you ask me. And the standard of the actual grouting, when he put the adhesive on, and I'm not a tiler, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but basically the adhesive at the back of these tiles, it's kind of squeezed through, like almost proud in some cases of the tiles. And I did say to the guy, I said to him, I said, you are going to do something about that, aren't you, before you actually put the grout in? He said, yeah, that'll all be scraped out. No, that's not happened. So when you look at the actual grout now, some places it's patchy, it's not even sat there, and then there's other places where it's just completely sat proud of the tile from where the adhesive has not been scraped out. The pièce de résistance, the actual topper for the whole thing for me, is the decision we just kind of went along with in the end, because I weren't any better flipping briefed up, to be honest with you. But if you look at there where there's that huge bead of silicone, which actually ends where he couldn't actually get in with a gun where the radiator sits. So he's put a huge bead of silicone there, and then there's nothing there. But you can see the actual width of the tile, which goes down there. But if you actually seen that without the silicone, the actual finish and the tile is horrendous. So that's kind of how he's left the job. Do you know what? If you actually close your eyes and walk into the bathroom with your eyes closed, it's a perfect job. As soon as you're open your eyes, it's a living nightmare. What are your thoughts on the bath ceiling? Honestly, I mean, the silicone he's used on this bath is extraordinary. The shower, that's not even straight. But do you know what? I was willing to put up with all that bits, but it's just, for me, it's the finish of the job. It's horrendous. Look at that look at that grouting in there. It's just absolutely horrendous. So, in summary, we're left with this now, and we're going to have to take it on the chin. Literally going to have to take it on the chin. My only thoughts are, I said to the wife, because this has caused, it's caused massive issues between me and the wife. We've just completely lost the plot with this now, and it's really demotivated us. We've run out of money, and we couldn't get the other 2 rooms done. So I've had to get another bank loan to get the other rooms done. So yeah, so ultimately, I mean, look at the state down there. It's just, the whole thing, it arguably, do you know what, it probably looks better on video. I'll tell you that now, it probably looks better on video, but in person, it's absolutely horrendous. So my thoughts are, and what I'm going to ask your advice on, is how I kind of get myself out of this mess. My thoughts are, basically, is to spend a great amount of time digging all this silicone out. I mean, proper go into town, get it all dug out. Everywhere he's used silicone is to dig it out. And my only thought process is, obviously, I'm going to decorate I'm going to redecorate the ceiling, so I might have to do a bit of sanding up there where he's been in with the adhesive. I'm going to sand all that, get all that squared away, and get the ceiling decorated. So that'll be mint. And then my thought process is dig all this silicone out, and then get some kind of matching grey silicone, and basically just do a really thin, even though it's going to expose all the gaps in the tiles from where he's got really thick, you know, adhesive stroke grout. It's going to expose a bit of that, but then you're going to take away all that big, horrible white silicone. That's just, I mean, he's even used 2 different flipping shades as well, because if you can look at the stuff on the ceiling compared to what's coming down, he's used 2 different shades, and it's just completely, for me, it's crap. So the only thing I can think that's kind of going to get me out of jail is replacing that horrible thick bead of white with some grey. And then hopefully we'll be able to live with it. Because, you know, I think we're going to be in this property for another 5 to 10 years. And it's absolutely, honestly, it's sickening. It's sickening to think that we've spent, I don't know, let's just say we're 4 or 5 grand deep into this one bathroom, and we're not happy with it. We've even said that as soon as we get the ensuite done, we're going to seal this up and not use it. Right, folks, please leave. If you think I've been completely unrealistic and my standards are too high, then go ahead, you know, say it. But I don't think they are. I just wanted the basics of just being able to actually put a tile on straight, for it to sit flush against the other tiles, for the actual tile adhesive to look neat, and for the actual finish of the job to be right. And you know what, it's anything but. I mean, you know, just to give me that confidence in where I'm coming from. I did get the other tiler that's coming in next week to do the other room. I did get his kind of take on it. And to be fair to him, he said, listen, I'm not going to destroy anybody else's work. He says, I'm not in it for that. He says, I'm not going to pass comment. He said, but this is dreadful. Right, leave a comment, guys, and take care. Bye.